Hello patrons, this is Cyber Saloon. So today we're going to be going over a redo of The Healer, and this show was not at all what I expected. It's kind of giving me a little bit of like ReZero vibes. When I first saw ReZero when it first aired, I thought it was going to be, your stereotypical isekai, and that's not obviously what it is. And this kind of gives me like a similar kind of feeling, but it's a lot darker. Like, I was like, oh, okay, it's just gonna be like some isekai fan service type thing, and that's not at all what it is. I didn't know anything about this series before it even aired. I always like to try like one or two different series on top of watching ongoing ones, just to try to see, you never know if you might find a show you might like. And I remember I was looking on my anime list, I was like, ReZero, like Tensei Slime, like those are obviously things I'm gonna watch. I was like, okay, like redo of The Healer, like I read the synopsis and I was like, oh, well, this sounds kind of interesting. I thought it was gonna be kind of like a feel good type anime, and that is not what it was. I didn't even see much marketing about this, probably because it's not airing like legally on Funimation or Crunchyroll. So that's I feel like that's for a reason. I feel like it wouldn't surprise me if like both of them passed it up because they didn't want controversy. And I was like, oh, okay, like let's start the episode. And it starts off with our main character, and he looks like he's about to go balls deep in Flare, and it doesn't exactly look consensual. And I was like, okay, like what is this? Like, he starts going kind of like a thing, like he's gonna like fix this all. And I was like, okay, like let's see where this goes. So he wakes up, and we see that he kind of has this mother figure. He kind of says later on like that he's basically adopted, and this woman's basically treated him like he was her own child. We see him, he kind of starts to go throughout his kind of daily routine, like he starts picking out, but he like mutters to himself that he needs to acquire like the power of the spirits. And then when he goes, we get a Lady of the Lake type moment where he goes to the lake, and like we see this celestial type magical fairy or like supernatural like come out of the lake. It's like, okay, like it's this like it's this half clothed kind of she's a star spirit apparently. And because it's anime, there's only one way that you can transfer power to people, and that is by kissing them. So we see her kiss him on the eye because he asked for the sight, and that just looks uncomfortable. Like, I can't even imagine how like someone kissing you on the eye, that just seems like it'd feel like really awkward. But she kisses him, and we see his eye turns green. So the sight, it tells you basically everything about a person just by looking at them. I don't think it just applies to people as well. I think it applies to basically everything. Like, you can look at a person, you can tell how strong they are, like their name and all this other stuff. Is kind of like it's basically like acquiring a dev tool. Like, imagine how acquiring like a dev tool in like an RPG or like any type of game, and that's basically what this is like. And then it gives the flashback, because up until the part where he received like the gift like from the star spirit, he kept having like these lapses where it seems like he remembered certain things. And then after he receives the gift from the star spirit, he has a flashback, and holy shit, like it's pretty dark. Like, so we come to find out he's a hero, and he has an extremely like helpful ability, which is the heal people, which that's pretty standard in like any type RPGs or anything. It's like, okay, like you need D&D, like you need the healer type character, but he can I don't think he can bring people back from death, obviously, but he can, like, if someone gets their arm cut off, or if they have like a serious injury, he has the ability to completely regrow that arm like brand new. But this is really interesting. This is actually a really cool drawback. I don't know, others may have seen like a similar one, I haven't. So when he heals someone, it has a massive drawback. He basically inherits like all of their memories and like most of their life, and he does it in an instant. And obviously that drives him completely mad. Like, imagine you're going to heal someone, and like you like all their life experiences like gets like transferred to you, not just like all the bad stuff they've been through, everything. Like, you basically see what type of person this is, and it feels like you've lived like kind of their life. And it's a pretty massive drawback, and this obviously drives him insane. And like it talks about how he tried to run away a bunch of times, but they just ended up capturing him. and they would end up torturing him for it. And they gave him like this messed up medicine where it's just like it's like artificial happiness. Like they would just dump this. You see it where like he's chained up, and they just dump the vial like onto the ground, and like he like just like drinks it up, and it's pretty. It looks terrible. And then you say they also treat him like complete garbage. Like they'll like just, this one guy just looks like he was just choking him out. They'll just call him useless. Like, it doesn't look like it's a terrible position to be in. They're fighting this demon lord, and of course it's because it's an anime and demon lords are always hot. We see the demon lord is like, it's the party that he's with. Like, we see that they're getting their ass clapped by like all by the demon lord. Like it's like these shadow type creatures that she's making, and they're beating the shit out of everyone. And that she does like this massive explosion type thing, and everyone's injured on the ground. And like she's like the Flare, which is the main princess, she like asks Kaoru to heal her and to heal these people, and he just has this like shit-eating smug grin on his face. He's like, I'm not gonna do it. So this it kind of reminds me of Tensei Slime in a way, but a lot darker, and this is why. We learn that it's a double-edged sword, this ability. You inherit all their painful memories, and like it drives you insane, but you inherit their abilities as well. It's like their speed, strength, their techniques, and a bunch of other stuff, because Kaoru ends up like taking out the demon lord all by himself. And you see he's pretty regretful to do it, and it looks like there's like this is gonna be like the Imperials are basically the bad guys type thing. We kind of get that off when they start off the battle, because she's like saying like, is there no place you guys won't touch? And like you see that like she's pretty sad that it's come to this, and like we see that Kaoru like is pretty upset that he even had to do it in the first place. And of course it's called the item that she drops is called the Philosopher's Stone. And it basically gives you the ability to nearly do anything. It basically turns you into like a god level entity, basically, because we see that Kaoru knows that Flare wants it to achieve like global domination and just like, you know, take over the rest of. It looks like they've basically beaten all the demon lands, so they want to like take over the rest. I would imagine like of their like the human like kingdoms that are kind of opposed to them. And we see that like Kaoru isn't having it. He's like, I'm not giving this to you. Like he's like, I'm gonna redo this, and like I'm gonna fix the world, like, you know, all that stuff. And this shows it's got some angst to it. Like he hates her like a lot, and like there's a good reason to. Like we see how like she treated her, and not to mention we find out, of course, what type of person she is. She's kind of an elitist bitch, and we see that he says right before he activates it, because he's basically doing he's turning back time essentially to fix like everything that's been done. And he says he's gonna make her life miserable, and he's gonna take everything away from her. And then he wakes up like next to the lake. Then he remembers kind of the reason he even like, you know, he did that anyway. So he's the only person who knows. Like it's like a time. It was basically like a time warp that like he maintains now all of his memories and everything that he knew then. And then he remembers that all back in the new kind of past. It just sounds so weird to say the new past, but yeah. So he starts preparing for like Flare to come get him. So the way that hero abilities seem to kind of work, when you reach like an adult age, like not all members of like of the population do. It's like a small select members of the population that seem like when they get to like a certain age, like a marking appears on their arm, and like it looks like the capital knows like what like where it's at and everything, because Flare comes to go get Kaoru as soon as he gets his, and it seems like you can maybe kind of choose your ability, but sometimes it kind of gets chosen for you. And so given that he knows everything, he starts kind of preparing himself, because he knows it shows in the flashback like that he got drugged and all this other just terrible stuff. And so he starts eating mushrooms and all this kind of like narcotic type stuff that kind of will give him an immunity to when they try to drug him again. So, and then Flare shows up to his village, and she seems like this, like, you know, royal, like super, like cares about the people type persona that we know is fake based off like his past memories. And then she ends up taking him with her. And so after she takes him with him, she starts putting up that fake persona, like, again, that, like, oh, like, you don't have to address me as the High Princess, you can just call me Flare. And then, like, we're on equal footing. And of course he plays along, like, very well, that he, you know, that he doesn't know what's happening. And then we get kind of a line that when they get to the capital, like, the base, it's built, it was a bunch of indigenous type demi-humans that looks like they've turned the slaves and also sex slaves, like, kind of like a second class, like, kind of citizenry that basically is enslaved to them, to the people, like, of the capital. I mean, he gets brought before the king, and, like, again, because of his little, like, analysis type thing, like, he also does it when he's traveling with Flare, and of course she's really powerful, and all the people she's traveling with are really powerful. But it seems like the king is, like, extremely powerful. He's not just some typical bureaucratic king or emperor where it's just like he's kind of like a really weak. The king is really strong. He says, like, it's like looking at something akin to a monster, and that if he's gonna pull a move, he's gonna have to do it when, like, the king is not around, which is smart. So then it looks, so he's about to go to sleep, and we see that the maids are, I think it's kind of obvious they're sent to, like, they sent the ass to go try to, like, persuade him over. Like, it's very obvious they're doing this to try to warm him up to the capital, and they're not just doing this for, you know, this just the fact they want to, you know, sleep with him, obviously. But he takes full advantage because, again, it's kind of, this is how it's like Tensei Slime. Which is weird. His healing ability, it looks like he can, if he touches someone or uses it, he gets, like previously said, he gets all their experiences and memories. So I guess because they're not hurt, they don't really know that he's doing this. So he starts having sex with all the different maids, and obviously, I mean, he knows they're trying to, like, this is the great thing of, like, knowing in advance. He knows they're just trying to use them, so he's getting a good lay-in on top of the fact that he's also, like, playing them. He's getting, like, their memories and experience because he's going to use it later. And so this goes on for about a week. And then we see, they had mentioned earlier, like, they had an exceptional swordsman had been hurt, and they needed, like, Keiru to heal her. So here's my hope. I like what I've seen so far. It's different. It's definitely darker, but I hope the main character is not, like, a complete asshole. Like, I hope he knows that, like, there are certain people, like Flare, it looks like she deserves everything that gets done to her, and so does some of these other, like, bureaucrats and whatnot. Like the guy, when he heals when Kraylet, I think her name is, the silver-haired woman, like, who, when Keiru kind of, like, brings her arm back, of course Keiru, like, starts, you know, freaking out and, like, gets induced to a lot of pain and freaking out on the ground because he's just inherited all of her memories. And it looks like he's a bureaucratic asshat as well. So like those people, I'm not gonna defend them. Like, it's just like whatever gets done to them, I'm not, like, you know, they kind of have it coming. But like the Kraylet, the silver-haired woman, it seems like I don't get anything that she's a bad person. You know, there's probably a lot of people that he's worked with in his previous life that aren't bad people. That's what I mean by this. Like, I hope that, like, he's not just, you know, this is some edgy revenge thing where it's just like even people who are good people, he ends up screwing them out just because they happen to ally with, like, the capital or something. Like, again, like, I keep harping about it, but Kraylet, like, it looks like she's not a bad person, but hey, it's the first episode, she might be. It's like, so who knows. And then after that, like, he starts, like, seizing on the ground. He's, like, you know, passed out, and Flare just comes up and starts kicking him. Like, she just starts making fun of him, just being a complete bitch. And then we see at the end, like, right as she's walking away, like, he has just this smug grin, like you better be prepared for what's coming. And I really can't wait for the next episode. Like, again, like, so my thoughts on it are kind of this: I'm really interested. I like being surprised, and I am very surprised by this one, like, in a good way. But I just hope it's not too angsty, where it's just like because he's very much an anti-hero. This guy isn't a hero, but that's not. I like anti-heroes. Like, anti-heroes are can be really good characters. But I hope he's not to the point where it's just like he's such a bad, like, he's so driven by revenge that he ends up screwing over, like, people who probably don't deserve it. Like Flare and, like, some of these other politicians, like bureaucrats and whatnot, they look like they very much deserve it. But I hope he doesn't end up like screwing up like people who aren't necessarily bad, but they're just on the wrong side, if that makes sense. I really enjoyed it overall. Again, I didn't know anything about this series, so you can imagine my shock when I first saw this episode fully and was like, okay, this is definitely not your like feel good like type anime, but like it's interesting. Like it looks like it has a really cool premise, and I can't wait to see what comes next. I'm really excited for the next episode, and I can't wait to watch it. What did you guys think of the episode? Were you just as shocked as I am? Like okay, this is definitely not the anime that I thought it was going to be. And what do you think is going to happen in the next episode? I don't know what happens in the next episode, but it doesn't look like it's going to be a good time for Flare. Like, I don't know if he's going to play like mind games with her, or like he's just going to try to screw over in small ways and work up from there. But I can't wait to see what happens. Again, like I'm surprised. It's not surprising that I haven't seen much about it even now. Just because since it's not hosted by Funimation or Crunchyroll, I've been watching it on High Dive, so it's not surprising I haven't seen that much marketing done for it. That's all I got for this video, guys. Let me know what you thought of the episode in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.